Morning, gang. What's going on? So that can't be any more clear about this. I'm sure you all agree. I'm in my car, by the way. This is a stand, and I'm not holding it with my hands. I'm driving, so it is locked into a stand. I think a decision needs to be made now, or sooner or later, sooner than later, on Devin Williams. There's no doubt about it. I don't know what the decision's going to be. If it's now, it might make sense to give this kid Carlos Grande a chance, right? If it's later, it'll probably be when Fernando Cruz and Ryan Yarbrough come back. One way or the other. I think last night needed to be Devin Williams' last night in pitching for the Yankees, unfortunately. I wish it didn't turn out this way, but it has. I don't think any of us could expect it either, but it's happened. So, yeah, it sucks. It really sucks. Right? So, but they need to bring in, honestly, they need to bring in somebody who's going to be, more effective in the bullpen. Someone who's not going to reverse any positive momentum that the bullpen is trying to build again, right? That's a fact, too. And good morning to y'all. Good morning. So, I have this thing in a stance. I'm not holding fairway driving. But I think we're all at the point now where they got them, it's maybe that's even yesterday, but addition by subtraction would be probably the better course of action for the Yankees right now as it pertains to Devin Williams in the bullpen. I wish him well. They move on from him. I hope he picks up somewhere else, kind of regains himself, because he just looks defeated completely here. And that energy is just spreading across the team and spreading across the bullpen. And we need that energy back. It almost looks as if the players like, well, we got to pick up this guy again. And that's a frustrating venture for the players, I can only imagine. I applaud Ahmed Rosario's hustle last night when he crashed into the wall, and Trent Grisham's heads-up play, getting that ball and forcing the runner out at second. Both those guys, that was a fantastic play. Really, really was. But aside from that, the first pitch he threw was a wild pitch in the extra innings. Jose Altuve moved immediately to third, and then Carlos Correa with like a kind of a bloop single in the center field drove him in, made it 3-2 right out the gate. And then you had what's his name, Taylor Trammell. I think it's Taylor Trammell or Terrence, maybe Taylor Trammell. 2-run shot to make it 5-3. Oh, excuse me, 5-2. And then going into the bottom of the 10th, Anthony Volpe, RBI single to make it 5-3. Stanton walked, but Grisham lined out. Paul Goldschmidt flopping. If I remember correctly, he popped up. These guys worked the count, but against Josh Hader, but maybe they made Hader unavailable today because he threw about 40 pitches last night. That's good, but we got to face freaking Framber Valdez today. And today it's Old Timers Day, too. So maybe they'll just be around some guys that could bring some knowledge and perspective and good energy. Excuse me. Back to the team. Excuse me again. And they could use as much positive energy as they can get. Because the team also looks in the dumps. They need to change that. So we need better play out of the team. This is their job, right? So they're being given opportunities to play and to right the ship. But in a lot of situations, they're not executing that, right? Which is very frustrating. The team has a lot of talent. Something's not gelling. Something's not clicking. I don't know if it's a combination of older guys who are no longer productive, or not having Stanton in there. I mean, he drew the walk last night in the 10th inning. Good for him. I think it's good to see some plate discipline. He works some fouls, better than him swinging at pitches that are 2 feet out of the plate. Because in one though, one token looks like Barry Bonds hitting these home runs. I'm talking about 73 home run Barry Bonds. And then on the other hand, it looks like Jose Canseco, who used to always swing at pitches that were 3 feet out of the plate for a strikeout. More often than not. Total Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Giancarlo Stanton, which is why I was happy to see him draw the walk last night. A little small ball effort there. And at that point, there were runners on first and second, Volpe and Stanton. I still couldn't put it through. First and second with 1 out. And Gulcher made it out, and Grisham made it out. And they still couldn't put it. They couldn't put it together. Teams are finding it far too easy to hit Devin Williams, so he cannot be put in more high leverage. I'm not sure if Aaron Boone is being made to use him or not. I have no idea. None of us do. And just leading by talking about, I'm not going to say something. But this team is not looking like a damn playoff team. There is time to change that, but every day they play like that is a more clear sign that they're running out of time, right? So what do we do at this point? How do they triage this? How do they figure out how to get this right? I saw somebody suggest this morning that everyone actually wants to be fired. No idea. No idea. If that's the case, he should just go in and quit. Again, but I know people are grasping for straws, trying to get him thrown out of here. And a lot of people are grasping for straws, also trying to get me to push for his firing, trying to get me to go to the dark side or whatever you call it. I don't really give a damn. Okay? Bigger problems than Aaron Boone. I know people. I said this last night. People want Brian Cashman gone. I think there's a timeline associated with him. I could be wrong on this, but I said this last night. After next year, the current CBA ends, and they have to renegotiate one battle, or they're probably gonna be a lockout. Ooh, we don't know yet, right? So there's gonna be stuff they're gonna be haggling over, no doubt about it. But I think at that point, Cashman might decide to hang it up as a GM, and maybe he'll talk to Hal. Maybe Hal promoted him some different position, some advisory role or whatever, and he'll bring in someone else as the GM. Cashman at that point will be 60 years old after it ends next year. His contract expires next year. I think the timeline just fits for Brian Cashman to, who's close with Hal, to kind of go out on his terms as GM. Of course, he would like to go out with another championship. There's no doubt about that. And we still have this year and next year. according to this timeline that I'm actually up here. Well, not making up the timeline. That's the timeline of his contract, right? I'm just kind of spitballing something to put the pieces together for the timeline of his contract. Just makes sense to me. But again, I'm not Brian Cashman. I don't work for the guy. I don't know as much as he does. Neither does any other beat writer, content creator. Nobody knows as much as Cashman. Nobody. Even though people like to act like they do. Alright, so that's what my guess is. Who they replace him with? No idea. Maybe it'll be Kim Eng, who was his assistant with the Yankees before she became the GM of the Marlins under Derek Jeter, who was the man who hired her as the GM. So she made history there. So that might happen, or maybe someone else. I know people are asking for Theo Epstein, but I have a feeling he's going to be groomed as the next commissioner of baseball. Because at the end of the CBA also is the end of Rob Manfred's tenure as commissioner. And he's already said he's not going to go for another round as commissioner. Much to the delight of a lot of baseball fans who, for the most part, universally hate the guy. Can you really blame him? No. So there's got to be some stuff that needs to happen in this next CBA that hopefully changes the game for the better. We talked about this stuff. A salary cap's not going to happen. You even saw Bryce Harper, and if you didn't see it, you didn't hear about it, he got into basically a shouting match directly with Rob Manfred. He was in his face. Told him, get the F out of my clubhouse. Because Rob Manfred wanted to talk about the salary cap. Remember, Rob Manfred, the commissioner, he's working on behalf of the other owners. Bryce Harper, union player, he's working on behalf of the union, Players Association. Very rarely do they see eye to eye with the owners, who are the spenders. And there are arguments for the owners spending more when the revenues are sky high. Get that. But maybe the better path is to not penalize teams that spend and put forth those penalties upon and we've said this a lot too, about the teams that receive all the revenue sharing, right? And do nothing with it. Don't spend on their teams. Don't spend on their players. Those should be the guys and gals that are penalized, not the teams like the Yankees or the Mets or the Dodgers or whoever, the Red Sox, the Cubs, like teams that actually spend on payroll. They have to lose 10 draft picks or be knocked down 10 draft picks in the draft because they're over a certain threshold. Why are we punishing teams that are spending, investing in their product? Why? So if I'm fighting for one thing next year, it's a damn salary floor, not a salary cap. Let the teams that receive revenue sharing and don't spend all of it on players, let them drop 10 picks in the draft. Let them surrender draft picks. And get rid of the damn qualifying offer penalties. Why should teams lose 2 draft picks to sign a guy attached to a qualifying offer? What good is that going to do? Because most of the teams that lose these players that are going to become big free agents and get qualifying offers are the teams that don't spend. Most of the teams, not all. So it goes back to, again, putting forth the penalty on those teams who basically get free money from teams like the Yankees, who gave $130 million last year in revenue sharing money. $130 million out of their profits. Okay? And we've talked about this too. Revenues is not the same thing as profits. It's revenues, then expenditures, then spending, then profits. That's how the math works. Good morning, y'all. I'm at the gym. Thank you for bearing with me, and I can pull this out. I'm gonna get inside, but I wanted to just get the pulse of the folks, get the pulse of the room, and just give you my kind of 2 cents on this type of stuff. You found somebody who hates Devin Williams as much. Who hates Devin Williams as much as you? I mean, a lot of fans do. A lot of fans do. Why? I don't know. It's a good question too, Robert. Why haven't we heard more about Minaya and what's his name? Brian Sabian. I don't know. That's another good question that essentially deserves an answer. Really. Well, Devin Bin Laden's kind of—it's funny, but that's kind of extreme. He didn't kill a bunch of people, but I get the analogy. I get the frustration. But yeah, he is horrible right now, John Peters. No, I mean, there's no denying that, right? There's no denying that he's horrible. He sucks right now. And who would have thought he was going to be this bad? I sure as hell did not. And that was a trade at the time that made a lot of sense. Now, looks like it didn't. Well, what's the thing, Javi? We don't know. Like, I understand, he's loyal to his players. He wants to give them a chance to kind of fight through, battle through adversity, right? I get that. When you battle through adversity, it's one of the things that's going to help you on the back end. But yet, that last night was not the right. I would have brought in somebody like or someone else. I would have brought in Devin Williams in like the sixth inning after Schlittler. He would have been the first reliever I would have brought in, not the last. Right. And I have a feeling next year is going to be a little bit different. We talked about these stats. I talked about yesterday a couple times. Some fascinating stats on Ben Rice, who's sharing elite stats right now with 5 players: Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Kyle Schwarber. He's in 5. Take a look at the video I put out yesterday. It's pretty cool. So maybe he gets the opportunity to be the next first baseman next year, right? Or maybe, let's just say Cody Bellinger gets brought back, right? He comes back, or he signs a long-term deal with the Yankees. Cody Bellinger can move from outfield and first base, and maybe Ben Rice can move from catcher to first base. He should get more catching reps and some first base reps, especially if Goldschmidt moves on and retires. And he's probably the only player that I would keep here long term, Ben Rice. So there's a rumbling that the Yankees might move on from Anthony Volpe after the season. A rumbling, no confirmation yet, but that's being chatted about too. I think Bednar, yeah, Javi. Bednar, the new closer. But that also wasn't a save situation. It was a tie game, but ghost runner. You have to change the entire way you pitch with the ghost runner because you're walking into a runner on second. You're walking into it. Yeah, don't be surprised if he gets DFA'd or released in the near future. Devin Williams. I'm not predicting it's going to happen, but I'm saying don't be surprised if it does. Especially the way Brian Cashman's been a little bit more calculated with guys that he gets rid of now, like Stroman, like DJ, right? And he's making these necessary moves now instead of holding on to these guys for a couple more years or whatever for the tenure of their contract when they stink, right? Which is something that we would have liked for him to do sooner with players. He's doing it now. That's for sure. Does Boone hate Tim Hill? No, he doesn't hate Tim Hill. He uses him all the time. Well, exactly, Ken. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's rumblings about it, but I'm definitely not. That's not something I'm predicting. And who knows how much teeth? I mean, if that happens, I'm not sure this is going to be a frequent topic of conversation. If it happens, it just happens. We'll be probably blindsided by it. But it's not going to be for George Lombard yet. I see better odds of Volpe moving to second when George Lombard's ready to take over short than the Yankees extending Jazz Chisholm. I see better odds of that. Well, Duvall's a power arm. Tim and Light are really not. But again, he's got to figure out like when Cruz comes back and Yarbrough comes back, who are they going to move on from? Hedrick and Loizaga? It's going to make some very unpopular roster moves over the next couple of weeks that are going to happen. So that's going to be part of the this whole thing too. This equation. Ross is going to look very different. Very different. That's a more likely scenario, Ken. If they move on from Jazz, let's just say, um, then I could see Volpe being shifted to second and Lombard being brought into to shortstop. But that would be after 2026, and I think would be the more obvious timeline for Lombard to be officially ready for the majors. That way, they're not having to throw him to the wolves and rush him. Right. So. I think the Yankees can make the playoffs, John P., but they have to play a hell of a lot better to do it. I do not wave the white flag on the Yankees. I know a lot of people expect me to. I'm not doing it. I'm not a fair weather fan, ever. But also, me being loyal to the team and, kind of going through the adversity with them doesn't make me delusional either, like a lot of people like to say. Positive is not delusional. I don't know how I was going to say it to him, Joe. I don't know if he's going to say that. And I'm not going to put words in his mouth. So, well, if they keep Devin Williams, then I would hope he would be the first reliever to come in, not the last. Whether it's the sixth inning or whatever, seventh inning, whatever it might be. But at that point, hopefully we'll have Jake Bird back and Cruz and Yarborough. So Donnie Baseball is working for the Blue Jays. People keep asking for Donnie Baseball. He's a coach with the Blue Jays. He's employed with Toronto. Oh, Volpe, yeah, he got that RBI single last night in the 10th inning. Offensively, he's still putting forth at worst league average performance, but he does have, he's outperforming guys like Corey Seager and Trey Turner and a lot of the Mookie Betts in a lot of offensive categories, surprisingly enough. His defense clearly leaves a lot to be desired. We know this. And the same thing, Javi, I would not be surprised. I just keep saying, don't be surprised if Devin Williams gets DFA'd or released. And maybe they'll wait until one of these guys comes back, like Cruz or some. We'll see. They start tomorrow, Cruz and Yarborough, throwing the live hitters. So my guess they're going to start the rehab assignment soon. They'll be back at the end of August. So they'll still have a month. And they have to be back before September 1st in order to be eligible to be used in the postseason. Same thing applies to Devin Williams. If they move on from Devin Williams, he has to sign with another team before September 1st before he can be eligible for the postseason. Right? So there's a timeline for that as well. Oh, I definitely agree with that, Tim. I think Devin Williams staying with the Yankees, at worst case scenario, over by season end. 100%. 100%. No, Jazz has one more year in his contract. Tim, he's got one more year in his contract. So, appreciate you, Stephen B. Thanks, man. I'm gonna wrap it up anyway. I'm gonna go in and get my work done in the gym before I start vacation, and I'll be with you throughout vacation too. but it'll just be through my phone and not my laptop. So I appreciated all the super chats last night, but the generosity, you guys are the best. I appreciate it. I really do. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at. I think a decision needs to be made in a very. I don't know. Maybe they'll make it today. Who knows? I was kind of hoping they would make it last night after the game, but they didn't. It's kind of put him out of his misery because he looks miserable here. Lombard doesn't fit here in 2026. I think he fits in AAA, Double A to AAA. I don't. I would be shocked if he's a starting shortstop in 2026. He could be a September call up, like I think Spencer Jones will likely be this year. Until then, I would not call up Spencer Jones before that. I'm not blowing through a year of pre-arb when he's not the missing piece. It doesn't make any sense to do that. And he solves no pitching problems. Neither does Lombard. Yeah, I can't stand the ghost runner. Please get rid of that. I know they get rid of it in the postseason, but it's a disaster for a lot of teams, especially the Yankees in the regular season. A freaking disaster. And it puts pitchers at a disadvantage, too. You have the 3-batter minimum relievers, and you're already starting with a guy at second. You can get 2 outs, 2 pop-ups. The guy tags up to third, and then he tags up home. People put that on the reliever for getting 2 outs. The ghost runner is at a disadvantage for relief pitchers, period. Yeah, it's kind of cool seeing pitchers get through it and not give up runs. Of course it is. But it's a disadvantage more often than it's an advantage for pitchers. At least that's the way I'm looking at it. But yes, please get rid of the ghost runner. But go have a great day, everybody. It's Old-Timers Day today. Let's hopefully the Yankees get some good juju, some good energy from the vets, man. I really do. Right? Who's crying, Jonah? Who's crying? Yeah, Ghost Runner, Javi. Ghost Runner's a disaster. We know analytics is not helping this game. We talk about it on a regular basis. Analytics has far too much influence in this team. But the problem is we don't know exactly where it's infiltrating, or to what extent it's being used. We don't know that. And then that's not something they're going to share with people. Especially the beat writers come up with their own theories, right? And then, because they do this stuff for clicks and views too. On Twitter, on their, on Athletic, getting people to pay for memberships on the Athletics. Only way you can read the freaking articles if you get a subscription. There needs to be a balance with analytics and an instinctual play. None of us, I played baseball too growing up. None of us had analytics. I didn't have a freaking iPad to look at. I spoke to the coaches, spoke to my teammates, made adjustments. That's it. Yeah, it's at a much higher level. So I understand the need to rely on technology because you can pinpoint stuff, but there's got to be to me, a fair balance of that and actual skilled baseball. Yeah, to speed up the game, I get it. Yeah, Robert. It's a different reality. But like I said, I said this yesterday, and it apparently offended a lot of people. I said, as long as I'm still here, I'm going to try to figure out ways to encourage people. I'm not here to elevate your blood pressure. I'm here to lower it. The games already raise our blood pressure. There's no need to elevate it even further. None. People can vent and rant all they want. It's all so many people do. All they do. That's why I agree with Mariano Rivera. One of the things you need to be successful in a game like this is a short memory. Move on from crap like last night. It is a dick punch, yes. There's no denying that. But have to move on. These guys have to move on. Is there a need to continue to drill them and continue to pound them on stuff? Continue to ask for these guys to be fired and get rid of them, blah, blah, every single day? Is that productive at all? This is not saying that, people can't, because people use that argument to me all the time. Don't tell me how to fan. I just add to it. Don't tell me how to fan while I'm telling the players how to play, while I'm telling Boone how to manage, while I'm telling how to own, while I'm telling Cashman how to GM. Let's stop being hypocrites about it. Look in a damn mirror. People can fan all they want, but let's stop telling these guys how to do their jobs. They're good at their jobs. That's up to them to figure out and make the changes. We can vent, of course. But let's stop. If we're going to be hypocrites about it, don't be surprised when people call it out. That's real talk. Not talking points and narratives. That is real talk. You want it? There it is. Boom, you can't confirm that, Plasma. Boom must be play some bets. That one would be a crazy one. But I'm not even thinking about that one. We hope not. And if he is, he needs to be banned. Period. Just like Emmanuel Clase, they're still holding him accountable. Well, they have him on paid administrative leave. What the freak is that? You got popped for betting on baseball and you still have him on paid leave? Yeah, look, the Red Sox have. The Devers move was a net positive for them. The Crochet move was a net positive for them. They're extending a lot of the young guys. Good for them, right? We have a collection of just hungry players right now. No real studs, which is it shows a balanced team, just like I said this last night. If you look at the top 10 batting averages in the American League, 5 of them are on the Blue Jays. That's a balanced team. It's a balanced team. Yeah. Season started. A lot of teams to carry a larger roster. Well, the rosters used to expand from 20. I think it was 25 to 40, and then it went from 25 to 26. Was the initial starting point, and now it's 26 to 28. So they can't add 15 guys anymore. Now they're adding 2, which makes the roster maneuvering a hell of a lot more strategic. I don't know if that was in the C. I don't know if that was in the CBA or not, but that's just the way that it is now. I wish it would. They would bump it to at least 30. 30 would be better. That way you can add a couple arms and a couple of bats, maybe 2 of each, or whatever it might be. That way, generally at this point, you got a lot of tired guys. Maybe having 2 guys on either side to give these guys a break is better than 1. Like I said, I don't know who the hell came up with that, but that's a union thing or an owner's thing or a commission. I have no idea. But this stuff is agreed upon by both sides in CBAs. So we're going to hold one side accountable. We got to hold the other side accountable too, right? Why'd you guys agree to it if you didn't like it? And the same thing applies to this side. Why'd you agree to it if you didn't like it? Right? They want these guys to get paid. They want them to, play the game and stuff like that. They want the fans to have baseball to enjoy. Well, let's be reasonable in their negotiations here. Let's live in reality. That's my 2 cents this morning. Good morning, y'all. I'm gonna go vent some frustration out on the pads, on the plates. Right? I'm gonna get some work done. That's how I positively vent my frustration in the gym, on the mats. Okay? That's how I do it. Hopefully you guys and gals can do the same. But have a great day, everybody. Right? There's a lot of stuff. Which is why on the Yankees, I'm sitting Austin Wells in favor of Ben Rice right now. I'm even considering sitting Jazz Chisholm in favor of Jose Caballero. We have a guy on the bench who leads the American League. Why the hell is he not in there? When one of our biggest problems is running the bases. We have one of the fastest guys in baseball sitting the bench. Why? Please figure out a way to get this guy in there. Jazz Chisholm had one pitch at bats far too often in the last week. Sit him. Play Caballero. I'd rather play Rosario. Guy crashed into the damn wall last night with hustle. I'd rather have guys like that right now. He puts forth energy, puts forth effort. Put these guys in there. What are we waiting for? I'm not waiting for them to lefties to come into the thing. But Framber Valdez is pitching today. He's a lefty. Rosario should be in there. Right? Austin Slater's hurt. He punishes lefties. Maybe Caballero will be in there now too. Get these guys in there. The Astros had timely hitting and they hustled last night. We could use some of that. Let's utilize the weapons that we have here now with speed and energy. Sit the guys that are not being disciplined. Period. I like the Austin Wells almost home run last night, but I would have liked the home run better. What I liked less is that he struck out after the almost home run. That's what I like less. So please get Ben Rice in there more often than not. Slater is Zarento, and he's out 4 to 6 with a hamstring strain. So he's probably going to miss the rest of the season, unfortunately. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't say it's over. I wouldn't say that he wouldn't DFA Williams yet. He may not DFA. He might release him. Right? I know people out here saying, well, he should openly acknowledge it was a bad trade. Blah, blah. It's not going to happen. Just like fans say they beg him to make trades, and when the trades don't, when they make these trades that they beg him for, and the trades don't work, none of the fans take ownership about it. None of the fans say, well, I asked for that trade too. Maybe I should own that too. Nobody owns it. Why are we asking Cashman to vocally own this stuff? When fans don't do it themselves. Enough of the blame game stuff. Own it your damn selves. Period. Now I'm going to go vent some frustration. Gym time. Let's go.